as you can see on the screen, I'm so excited because this is my first clown interview.
Ooh.
Woo! Today on the First Time Storytelling broadcast, my guest is Bullseye the Clown.
Yay!
Yay! Bullseye the Clown is an award-winning humanitarian clown who specializes in anti-bullying, fighting injustice, and curing invisibility. Bullseye is here to share the story of his very first time clowning on a
Yay!
clown tour in Russia with no other than Patch Adams, and how that one experience changed the course of his life forever. Oh my God, Bullseye, welcome to the
Yay!
show.
Thank you so much for having me, Anne. It's a pleasure to be here, even if it is an early Monday morning.
Yeah, so excited. All right, Bullseye the Clown, tell us, how did you even what made you decide to become a clown?
Well, actually, believe it or not, I didn't really even think about becoming a clown. Prior to being a clown, I was a stand-up comedian for like 10 years. So I went out and I did stand-up comedy for 10 years. And just like some other clowns, they kind of stumble into it. A lot of times when something tragic happens, everybody used to just say, oh, well, something tragic happened to me, so I'm going to up and join the circus. And then they join the circus and then they go. Well, unfortunately, now there's no circuses. So I couldn't go and join the circus. So in 2018, my dad had passed away at the beginning of 2018, around April. And he'd never traveled or never went anywhere. And so I wanted to do something to kind of honor him. And I had watched the movie Patch Adams. And then from that moment on, I started doing a lot of research on Patch Adams. And I found out like every month he goes to a different country and he does clowning in a different country. And so I saw that that November, after my dad had passed away, that he was going to Russia. And so I had never been to Russia, and I'd never been a clown, although I had done comedy, and I was a theater major, and so I had acting experience, but I'd never been a clown. And so I decided to go to Russia with Patch Adams and 35 other clowns. So he had clowns from all over the world that kind of converged, and we got to Russia, and I had never clowned before. And we would go into like orphanages and children's hospitals and hospices and drug rehab centers. We were a clown 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we were never out of our costume. Now, I have to tell you that my costume didn't originally look this lovely and this polished. It was really bad because I'd never clowned before. I didn't know what I was doing. So, like, this was my first clown nose. Look how big it is. It like covered my whole face. You couldn't even see my face and it even squeaked. You know, so this was a very. I found out later this is a bad nose because it covers your expression. Anyway, I didn't know that at the time. And then this was my first clown hat. Uh, I was just like this big moose walking through Russia. Uh, so not having ever clowned before, it became a challenge in Russia because, of course, I don't speak Russian. So I didn't know the language. And a lot of the Russians didn't speak English. And so I wasn't able to communicate that way with them through language. So we had to do it all through physical comedy. So it became a very much um, physical comedy and finding things that you could do to make them laugh without actually communicating verbally with them. And I guess I assumed everybody loved clowns. I mean, I liked clowns, but at our very first orphanage, I found out that some kids were afraid of us. So, and of course, you know, me being me, and years ago, as you mentioned in the intro, that I also work on anti-bullying and also curing invisibility. So any child that I feel has been bullied or kind of sits off to the side, I feel like my need is to go to them. And so, of course, I tried to go to this little girl, and she wasn't having any of that. So I would go sit beside her, and then she would get up and she would move. And then I would go and I would sit beside her again, and she would get up and move. And we did this like all the way around. And then I thought, well, that's not the way to reach her, apparently. So I had to figure this out on my own because I had never been a clown before. So I'm like, well, how do I reach this little girl who can't even speak Russian? And so I just decided to start pulling things out of my pockets like rubber chickens, and I started blowing balloons and bubbles. And as I started blowing bubbles, she came over and sat down beside me. And so I got up and I moved just to kind of play around with her a little bit. And then she would come a little closer, then I would get up and I would move. And then eventually I gave her the the bubbles, and she blew the bubbles herself. And that was the way that I connected with her, just all through like nonverbal communication. Um, and I found out later that in order to get them to engage with you, sometimes you have to let them make the first move. So not to actually go in and scare the bejeebies out of them, but
Yeah.
you just have to let them kind of come to you in their own time.
Yeah. So that's a great story, start of your story. But let me back up a little bit because I'm
Sure.
curious. Now you mentioned that there were 30, 35 clowns from all over the world that were joining Patch Adams. How did you even like come across that he was recruiting for clowns? And then what was the process to get approved to go with him?
Okay, so as I had mentioned, I kept a watch on Patch Adams. So I would go to his website, Patch Adams. I think it's patchadams.org, and he lists all of the trips that he takes. So that was like the first thing. So I kind of saw that he was going to Russia, and then you pay to go. So it's not like you get paid to go on this tour. So you pay to go. I mean, but it's a lot cheaper than if you would go yourself. Um, and so I just kind of told them that I wanted to go and I'd never clowned before and they didn't care. I was like, oh, okay, come on over. We'll show you what you need to know. And I'm like, okay. So they said, just bring some funny things with you. I'm like, okay. And so I signed up, and of course it was a really long process as far as getting like the visa. The visa was probably the longest thing. And Russia is a country that you can't just fly into. You have to be invited by someone. So we had a charity there. It's called Maria's Children, and that's a charity that Patch has worked with for quite a few years. Because I think the year I went, it was like the 35th year he went in a row. And so she had to send invites to all of the clowns to invite us to go and say that we were going to be her guests for the 14 days that while we were there. And so then he would tell us, okay, we're going to all meet at the airport in New York. So you all fly into New York that are in the United States, and then you'll all fly out together. Just wear something colorful so that we know who you are. And so I kind of had a few of the clowns in New York, and then we kind of sat with each other on the plane so that we had somebody to talk to who knew what we were doing.
So were others more professional clowns? Like were you inquiring what this was all about and
Yeah,
trying to develop your character?
right. Like honestly, the first few clowns that I met, they had never done it before either. So this
Oh,
was kind of like their first time doing it. But then once we got to Russia and then we kind of met up with the rest of the group, there are lots of other professional clowns who had been doing it for quite a few years. And, um, you know, some of them do have had circus experience, but a lot of them were what we call humanitarian clowns, where they go from like country to country and um, they just try to bring people together. Um, from different worlds, things that
hmm.
and try to relate with them on a more personal level, whether it's through sponsorship or um, one of the ones I want to do is Patch Adams goes to Peru, and they have like a festival, and at this festival they help paint houses and build things and really kind of help out the community. So instead of us traveling around Peru, we're kind of, I think, centrally located, and then they all kind of come to us and we kind of help them do during the day. We have some kind of a festival thing going on where we're helping build, and then at night we do some kind of a clown show. So
So, wow. So now you're in Russia and you're having this first clown experience. How does it make you feel? And you said it's on the heel of losing your father. Was that healing for you? What was happening for you?
yeah, well, so I had that was going on. So I was kind of upset about my dad having passed away earlier that year. Then, as I mentioned years ago, I was bullied, and that's one of those things that you kind of carry with you as well. And um, so you have all these, and everybody had like a story. So all the clowns had some reason why they were doing it, and most of it was um, very deeply personal for them. And but we couldn't focus on that while we were there. What we focused on was spreading joy to other people. So we would go into these hospitals, and so for like 14 straight days, 24 hours a day, all we did was we were having fun, and we were blowing bubbles, and we were having fun, and all of that stuff that we were harboring, without that sadness, that hurt, that years of depression, it just kind of lifted. It
Hmm.
was amazing. It was amazing that by making somebody else happy, we were actually in turn making ourselves happy. And Patch Adams actually had done a video called Clown Vets, where he took like all these vets who had like
PTSD and
yeah, exactly. And he took them clowning, and of course, they were big birthday guys, and they're like, "Oh no, we're not going to be a clown." And 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 it was amazing that at the end of that trip that he took those on, every one of those guys, they weren't like cured, but I mean, they were so much in a better place at that particular point, just from having spent so much focus on making somebody else happy and not kind of worrying or focusing on um, the hurt that they experienced and the trauma that they experienced. I mean, it was so that's why I guess whenever I first went, I just thought, okay, we're going to go and we're going to be these little crazy clowns and we're going to make people laugh, and I'm going to come home, and then I'm going to go about my business and do my own thing. But when I saw not only the effect that it had on me as a person, but then I saw the effect that the clowns had on other people, because there was a couple other events that happened when I was there that also really uh, made me realize the power of making somebody laugh and inspiring them. So, I mean, I can tell those to you if you too, if you
yeah, please do.
okay. So the very first one that happened, we were all on the bus. So we were going from Moscow to an orphanage in Sergei Posad, and we were stopped at a stoplight, and the stoplight, of course, happened to be right by a little bus station, and so everybody was there waiting on a bus. And we pull up, and so there's like 35 clowns on this big bus. And I looked out and I saw these people standing there waiting on the bus, and there was a little old lady, and she had like a little bag of groceries that she was holding on to. And so I just started to wave at her. I mean, she was kind of standing off by herself, and I'm like waving at her, and she kind of looks up, and she was like, "Ooh, bus of clowns." So she slowly started to like wave at me, and then I'd wave like really fast at her, and then she would wave a little faster, and then all the clowns at the same time kind of noticed what was happening, so they all turned and they all started to wave at this little old lady. And so she was waving, and all the clowns were waving at her. And then the light changed, and we started to pull off. So we were there, what, maybe like 30 seconds at a minute or whatever. And we started to pull off. And as we pulled off, the old lady sat down and she started to cry.
Oh,
And yeah, and I don't know why she cried. I don't know what her story was, which I would love to have known.
yeah,
Um, but it's one of those instances, I think, where you can be standing there in a group of people, but you can feel completely alone.
yeah.
And so in that particular moment that we were there, we we actually made her visible. She felt like she was seen for just a moment, and I realized that that is what a clown does. A clown makes you visible and makes you the star for whatever length of time that they're there. And that's kind of the way each of these events that we did kind of played out. It was kind of like, it wasn't all about us, it was all about them and making them the star of their own little show.
Ah, that's so special and amazing, and to bring that to someone is powerful and impactful, like you just said. You said you had another story.
Oh, I do. And this is one that I thought I was going to get in trouble for. Have you seen the movie Patch Adams?
I have. It was a long time ago,
Okay.
but I have seen it. Yes.
Okay. So we went to this hospital, and of course we were up on the like top floor. This was a hospice for the elderly, so all the people that we met were elderly people, um, and so we get up there and they say, okay, clowns, you can go anywhere you want to on this floor. Go into any room and you can um, be happy and do jokes and whatever for every single person. Except you cannot go into that last room down there on the right. That room is off limits. So of course, I think I think what's what Patch Adams do. So I said, well, what is in that room down there on the right that we can't go in? And they say, oh, you don't want to go in there. There's a lady in there. Her name is Helena. We call her Mount Saint Helena. She's very, very mean. And she will cuss at you in Russian. And she will throw things at you. So you don't want to go into that room. And I said,
Good.
okay. So I said,
I
I
thought
said,
you were going to
okay.
say challenge accepted.
So I said, I'm not going to go. So we went into all of the other rooms. And of course, we were like crazy. And so, like, if the phone would ring, we would pick up the banana and say hello. And, we were crazy. And so as we're all walking away and everybody started walking toward the bus, I don't know. I just kept thinking about that room. And I said, oh, what would Patch Adams do? And if you watch that movie, you know that Patch Adams would go in that darn room.
You sure would.
And so I said, what's the odds that I'm going to be back in Russia? Of course, I didn't think that maybe they would arrest me and I'd be in a Russian prison forever. But so I said, I'm going to just go in there and I'm going to peek and see. And so I looked around. There was nobody watching me. So I opened up the door and I could see the lady in there, and she was kind of sitting with her face toward the wall. And so I didn't want to like scare her by seeing this big moose coming into her room with the big loud nose on. So I just started blowing bubbles, and I just kept slowly walking closer. So as the bubbles would go, eventually a couple kind of went across her face, and she kind of looked, and she turned over, and then she saw me. And then I kind of just stood there waiting for her to throw something. I thought if she throws something, I can duck because I should be faster than a 100-year-old lady. And I figure if she cussed at me in Russian, it didn't matter because I don't know Russian anyway, so I don't know what
Yep.
she was saying. And so she made a motion to like come over here and sit down on the bed. And so I walked over and I was kind of showing her the bubbles. The bubbles became a very popular thing. So I, as you can see, so that's like my little trick of choice. Is so simple that you can blow bubbles, and but it seems to fascinate people who've never seen them before. So I was blowing the bubbles. I was trying to show her how, and so she tried to blow the bubbles just a little bit, and then maybe like one came out, and I said, "Oh no, you got to blow harder than that. You got to get like a lot of bubbles to come out." And so she tried to blow again, and maybe like three bubbles came out, and wasn't very much. And I said, no, you gotta breathe in, and then you got to blow out. And so she breathed in and she blew out, and there was like bubbles all over the room. But then her teeth flew clear across the room. So she started laughing really, really loud. Really, I mean, she had like a really big booming voice, so loud. I'm like, oh no, shut up, be quiet. You can't laugh. You can't laugh that loud. And so I'm running over there and I'm trying to find her teeth. I don't know where her teeth went. So I'm looking through all this stuff, trying to find her teeth. And I'm like, I found your teeth. And I'm holding her teeth up, and she's screaming like crazy over there. And then that's when the nurse walks in the room, and here I am standing there holding like this set of false teeth. She probably thought I was like a tooth thief or something. And I was like,
I'm in trouble.
yeah, it's like I was just standing there looking at them, and they said, we have never heard her laugh the entire time she has been here. And so they didn't arrest me, thank goodness. So they let me out, and I'm sure by now, because like I said, that was a few years ago. Um, I'm sure she has passed on by now since she was in a hospice, but uh, at least I could give her one particular
Ah,
moment.
yeah, memory and
Yeah. So
yeah.
so it was things like that that I thought, um, for me, that's what clowning is. I mean, to me, clowning is not going to the circus and being in the circus, or doing children's birthday parties, although those clowns do amazing work as well. But I didn't find that that was the type of clown I wanted to be. I wanted to be a clown that made a difference and exacted some kind of change. And that's why I left stand up from doing stand up years ago. It's because I thought, okay, there's got to be something more to life than making a room full of drunk people laugh at me. So and that's kind of so I kind of left that for a while, and then this clowning thing happened maybe like a few years after.
So then, well, first off, on that initial story with the older lady, you can't keep making assumption about someone, right? It's kind of like she
Right.
told her off, and you're making still an assumption that she's going to behave the same way. It's like you always
Mhm.
have to keep trying, and
Right.
at some point get a different result. I mean, like you had nothing to lose to go in there,
Right.
and
I'm like,
and
I'll be flying out of here soon, so she'll never see me again anyway.
yeah, and then it has had a big impact, and you get to make her laugh.
Right.
So that's amazing. So then you come back to the US, and how do you decide that, okay, you're going to keep clowning? This is going to be your thing.
Okay, so then when I came back to the United States, I was actually working at a job um, where I was a fitness trainer, because I also have, believe it or not, I have a personal training certification, as if that's not crazy enough. And so I thought, I wonder if there is a way to do clowning and fitness. So that was my first thought, and and so I decided, since I really was moved by those two older people, the one at the bus stop and the one in the hospice, I thought I am going to do a clown fitness program, and I'm going to take it into nursing homes
Ah.
and assisted livings. And instead of using weights, we will use balloons. So I will blow up balloons, and we will use those for our weights. And so I just created like this whole program. And so that's kind of how it originally started. Um, but then I kept getting this nagging feeling of, this whole bullying thing. And I guess I'm a firm believer that nothing happens to you in life by chance. That certain things, everything happens to you for some type of a reason. So, in order to put a reason behind that, I'm like, well, maybe that's something that I need to be talking about as well, and not necessarily bullying for kids necessarily. I think there's a lot of adults who were bullied as children who still have not gotten over that. So they still have that repressed feeling, because I did before I went to Russia. I still kind of harbored some, negativity toward the people who bullied me even, and of course they have by now had forgotten all about it, I'm sure. And so here I am carrying all this stuff from my childhood. And so I thought, well, maybe that is something I finally need to start talking about. And so I decided to try to also blend my clowning into that, because I guess if I thought it's a serious topic, but if I can kind of approach it from a little bit more of a humorous aspect, but still make a good point, that might be the way to go. So then I started to blend it into that. And so one thing just slowly kind of led to another, and things just kind of kept clicking along. So I kind of felt, well, these things keep moving fast, so this must be the route I'm supposed to take.
Ah. Now, how did your costume evolve?
uh, the costume evolved. I didn't want to do a lot of makeup because I'm lazy. And I took my hat. I was wearing a hat before I started this interview, but I took it off because you see these little eyebrows here. It took me like
Mhm.
17 hours to put that little eyebrow on. And so I was not, I was not going to cover it up. And I'm like, I can't believe ladies will actually pluck their eyebrows and draw the whole thing back on like that. It takes too long. So believe it or not, there are things called clown college. There's clown colleges and clown conventions and clown schools um, all over the world. And so when I came back to the United States after the Russia trip, that following year they were doing clown clown college. And so I decided it's called Clown Camp. That's what it was called, Clown Camp. And so I went to this camp, and they had some famous clowns there who you could actually pay like $30. I think it was like $30, and they would make you up. And you just kind of tell them, what kind of a clown do you like? You've seen some clowns, and I don't know if you remember like Emmett Kelly or Red Skelton, who did like the hobo look. So I said, oh, I kind of want somewhat like a hobo look, and so they kind of did like a look that was similar to what I have here, but not quite, because I made this my own. But so they kind of did it on my face, and I kind of was like, oh, that's neat. And so I had a pretty good look for that. And then I went to another convention, um, and then they were doing something called there's different kinds of clowns. There's like a hobo clown, and then a goose clown, and so I had that particular makeup artist. I said, well, do an a goose. I want to see what a goose looks like on me. So they did like a goose look on me, and I said, oh, I like that because it was a like minimal makeup. And so then what I ended up doing is just kind of blending the two. So I just kept taking what I liked from one thing and what I liked from another. And then when I went to Russia, I just bought like clown clothes from,
Mm.
things from like either like the thrift store. I would go to Amazon.com and order something. But then this whole outfit that I'm wearing, you can't see the pants or whatever, but I actually ended up having it made for me by another clown. So and it just slowly evolved. You just kind of figure out what you're more comfortable in and what you're more comfortable wearing. And I figure if it's something I'm going to be in a lot, and you can't see my tie, but this is my instant weight loss tie. You see that big old tie? Because it's the instant weight loss tie, because the moment you put it on, your whole belly disappears. It just goes right away. So I need like 5 or 6 of these things.
I might have to start investing in one of those.
Yeah, maybe I should start a whole line of them. Be a lot cheaper than a bunch of pills and a surgery.
Exactly. Oh, well, and I love your background, and I love everything that you have
Well,
going.
well, yeah, yeah, I'm sure it's like you when you first started this podcast, you were probably scared to death. And I started a YouTube show just recently. I mean, I only have like maybe like 8 or 9 episodes filmed, and the hardest part is for anything is to get going. It's just to say, okay, focus and get going, because you come up with all these reasons why you can't do something. Oh, I don't have the right camera, I don't have the right lights, I don't have the right background, I don't have the right hair, I don't have the right nose. And you think of all these things. You know what I
Your
mean?
clown worries about the nose.
Yeah, I don't have the right nose. I got to get the right. Oh, and this is the great nose. You see it? No strings, no tape, no glue, no nothing. I just sticks right on there. It's great. but you're spoken like a true entertainer. Oh, you got to have the right makeup. You got the right teeth. Um, but it's that we, and probably if I had really thought about it longer, I probably would not have gone to Russia, to be quite honest with you, because I would have been like, oh, I don't know anything about being a clown, and uh, I don't want to be there and make a fool of myself. But I vowed a long time ago, even way before I started doing stand up, that I was not going to be the kind of person who died and then get up to heaven and say, oh, I wonder what would have happened if I had gone to Russia, or if I had done stand up, or if I decided, I would rather do it. If it doesn't go well, it doesn't go well, but at least it's an experience that I had and I did it. So
I
that was
love that. Yeah, that's absolutely the 365 first challenge. That's the entire point, is just do it. Have the first time, have that new experience. Doesn't matter how it turns out. Like, it's part of the actual saying that we have. What matters is you did it. It's about not having any regrets, not having those ifs and looking back. And it has such a huge impact on your life that you did that. I mean, you're still clowning. It became your profession, and you're
exactly
impacting lives, and you're changing lives. And if you had stopped yourself, you know,
right.
and you
I've
had
been
such a great mentor, such a great example in Patch Adams, to follow. And I love how you told yourself, what would Patch Adams do? You know, find out who that mentor is for yourself, and ask yourself that question: what would that person do? Let me step out and do it, and make me proud of myself, represent them well, and see what happens from there.
Exactly. Like, and just like with your show, it doesn't mean that you have to do it again. Like, so say if you jump out of an airplane and you finally do that, and it scares the bejesus out of you, and you're like, oh, I'm never going to do that again. Well, then you don't have to do it again, but that doesn't take away the fact that you did it the first time to begin with. You got
Exactly.
you got over that fear enough to get it done and to do it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a leaper, so
I'm not. I'm not. No,
I'm
no.
a,
It's like
I'm a,
I'll go to Russia and a world where nobody can even speak my language, but jump out of an airplane, no, no.
yeah, I'm a leaper in pretty much in everything, and too often times it's been head first. So there's been some hard lessons.
I
Where
wonder. I wonder if my nose would stay on if I jumped out of an airplane. If it would stay on the whole way down.
Probably not. It's serious. There's a lot of wind going on. I'm pretty sure it would fly off.
Serious velocity.
Yeah, exactly. Indeed. Yes. All right. Well, before we move into the first time lightning round, how can people get in touch with you, watch your videos, learn more about what you do?
Oh, there's a lightning round. Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh. I didn't know about this. I didn't read the fine print. You can get a hold of me through my website, which is bullseyetheclown.com, all one word. Or you can go to YouTube. You have to search for Bullseye the Clown right now. So you go to YouTube and go into the search, because right now I don't have 100 subscribers yet. So please subscribe, because if I get 100 subscribers, then I can have it youtube.com/Bullseye the Clown. But see, now it's like youtube.com/ABCDEFGHIJK12346 equals subscriber, and that's a long, long list. So I'm also on Facebook. You can look up Bullseye the Clown. On Twitter, Bullseye the Clown. Instagram, Bullseye the Clown. So I'm on all of those things.
Actually, I forgot to ask, how did you come up with the name Bullseye the Clown?
Oh, uh, that kind of came up by accident, actually. But I guess I was thinking about the whole bullying thing, and when people bully you or call you names or try to like get jabs at you,
Mm,
it's kind of like they're throwing
that
arrows at
bullseye
you.
on you.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like you have this bullseye target on your back, and so some of those arrows will kind of just whiz right by, and you just don't think anything of them, and then every once in a while one will hit the bullseye. And so I kind of, oh, that's a great name. So that's kind of how I came up with it.
Oh, I like that. That's smart. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
All right, Bullseye, it is time
Uh-oh.
for the first time lightning round. The way it works is I'm going to give you 10 first time options. It's similar to if you were on the 365 First Challenge app. So if it's something you've done before, you'll say up. So you would swipe up on the app. If it's something
Okay.
you've never done, not interested, it's left. And if something you've never done, would like to do and add to your list, then it's right. So you've done it, never done, not interested, never done it,
Up.
would like to do it. Okay?
You're wanting a clown to pick directions. Okay.
Yes.
This could be, where's my chicken? Okay. All right, I'm ready.
Okay.
See,
Go to Comic-Con.
I've done that. What? I
You've
set up.
done that.
I've gone to Comic, not as a clown, but I've gone to one. Yes.
Were you dressed as anything your first time?
No, I just had like a bunch of Wonder Woman gear on, like a Wonder Woman hat and a Wonder Woman shirt because I like Wonder Woman.
Oh, smart man. Okay. Dress up a pet.
Yes, I've done that. For Christmas, I dressed up my pet as Santa Claus.
What kind of pet?
He's just a little dog.
Little dog.
He's a chug. He's part pug and part chihuahua, so he's a chug.
Oh, I
So he's
have
like,
I have one. He's part Chihuahua and he's part Basenji.
oh, I don't know what that is. What's a Basenji?
A Basenji, so it's a medium-sized dog. They were like the Egyptian dogs, so they
Oh,
don't
okay.
bark. So it's a good mixture with the
Oh,
Chihuahua.
good.
'Cause
Yes,
they
it is.
don't-
Ours barks.
A chug. Well, Chihuahua mixed dogs are usually very cute dogs.
There they are. He's very cute.
Yeah.
I call him my clown dog.
Aw, awesome. Okay, take a glass blowing class.
I've never done that. I don't know which direction that is. I would probably do that.
Okay, so that's a right.
Okay.
The chicken goes right. Drive go-karts.
I've never done that, believe it or not. I probably would do that. So.
Oh, all right. Another one to the right. Sew. Do you know how to sew?
Oh yeah. Well, yes, I took some classes with home ec way back in the day, and as a theater major, we would go into the costume store and or the costume shop, and we would help sew our costumes. So yes, so I've
Oh,
done that.
very awesome. Dance the tango.
Well, no, I haven't done that. I have danced before because I had to take classes, but that was usually with the tap and ballet.
Mm.
And seeing a clown do ballet is not very good. So,
But would you dance the tango?
oh dear. Yeah, maybe if they had what was it, Dancing with the Clowns, like a Dancing with the Stars thing. Sure, why not? Heck with it.
Okay, all right. We go right. Open-minded. Register as an organ donor.
Oh, I have not done that. Hmm, I probably would do that. I guess I would have to think. I mean, I guess I don't need them once I'm gone. So, so I guess.
That- It's definitely a great way of helping somebody out. Yeah.
But what if I could get resurrected later and I don't have my liver? I don't know. Yeah, but I know I probably would do that. That's something I probably would do.
All right. So I believe you can do it online or definitely next time you renew your license.
Well, yeah, and here in Arizona, I don't have to renew my license. You get it for like 60 years. It's crazy. I got that when I first moved here, like in 2005, and it's like doesn't expire until like 2035 or something like that. It's
Oh,
crazy.
wow.
I
Okay.
know.
So gotta register online then as an organ donor.
I guess so.
Okay. Do gymnastics.
Oh, holy moly. I guess I would. I have done it like as a gym
Okay.
class. I was the best person to do a forward roll. I could do a forward roll on the floor. Yes, I could. That horse thing, no, but I could. Would I try that horse thing again? Probably not. So
Yeah.
I guess I would put that over here because I would probably, especially
Okay.
with clown shoes on, because I would break my neck.
Yeah. That would not be smart. Okay. Eat Greek cuisine. Greek
Well,
food.
I've had the gyro.
That
So,
counts.
and was it baklava? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I have had that.
Okay. Win a jackpot.
Oh, I've won some stuff in Vegas before.
Ooh.
My mother's a gambler. We can stay in Vegas for free anytime we go. But I did what it wasn't very big. I think I The most I won was like $1,000, but I did win something.
That is winning a jackpot.
Yeah.
All right. So that concludes the first time lightning round.
Yay!
Hey. So the last question is, how have you been making the best out of the current situation with the pandemic?
Well, I've been doing what I'm supposed to be doing. If I go outside, I wear a mask, even though, so I have a clown mask, it's got a little clown nose on it and everything. um, and I do go to nursing homes and still do things to try to make them laugh. Actually, this week is International Clowns Week.
Oh, yay.
So all week I will be at the Arrowhead Valley Retirement Resort, and I will be up there doing different clown things like the clown fitness classes and things like that. Again, we making sure that everybody is socially distant and making sure that when needed they wear their masks. And I don't go any. I haven't really gone anywhere that I haven't needed to go. So I've been trying to do my part.
Yeah, minimize the exposure, especially since you're
Yes.
going to a nursing home. But that's really great that they're still having you come in, because that's such a, morale booster. And
Right. So but of course you don't do any kind of hugging or touching or anything like that. You
yeah.
just kind of wave from a distance and do all that. Actually, one of the days we're going to do uh called a sip and paint. That's usually like you get some type of alcohol drink and you sip it, then you paint. But instead of painting on a canvas, I'm going to have them paint their face, so they're all going to make themselves up to look like clowns.
Oh, how neat is that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So yes, so I'm sure I'll probably post that either on Facebook or my website or something, so that everybody can see their attempts at being clowns.
Oh, I would love to see that. Definitely have to look that up. I have to say I've never, well, other than like Halloween way when I was a kid, I don't remember doing any face painting as an adult ever. So I would be totally down to being
And to
transformed
be
into a
safe though,
clown.
they'll all have their very own brushes, and they won't share a brush.
Oh, yeah, of course, of course. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on and learning about your clowning experience and having my first clown.
Your first clown, so you did it first today.
I did do first today. I interviewed my first clown. It was an absolute joy and pleasure to do that.
But thank you for having me. It was fun.